Okay, so we're continuing on. This chapter 1 TB original that's down here is not needed, and in fact it actually tells you in your textbook that if you see that, to delete that tab. And that is on page at the top of page 130. It's at 1.30. It says if QuickBooks inserted a new sheet tab called Original, that you should right click and delete. Okay, so I've got my first file exported. One thing as far as your homework, there's extra exercises. You really should do all of them. For me, what I'm concerned about is just what is required for this, and it actually has little asterisks by your assignments in your textbooks to show you which files are going to be exported. So after 1.3, that's as far as we're going to grade, but you should go ahead and do the rest of the exercise to get that experience. But we do need to go ahead, and it's already saved with the name and everything that I want it to be saved, so I can just click Save. And then I want to exit out. Now I want to come back, and I'm back into QuickBooks. So I'm going to move right along. I'm going to do, all the different pages. Okay, so at this point, what I did is I skipped over pages because I want to show you the whole backing up of the file process, which is on 1.44. So it also has like a little button-looking icon photo on your textbook page to the top on the left, and it says anytime you see that, it's just a reminder that you should go ahead and back your file up. As you're working along in this, you're actually, again, you're working in the working file, which is a QBW, and it explained that in the pages right prior to this, the difference in the file types. But I'm going to go ahead and I want to save a backup file. The backup file is going to be it's going to be saved right at the point at which you are. So if I'm still working on chapter 1, which I will be because I'm not finished, then I will actually want to go ahead and save another backup file, kind of a final chapter 1 backup file. But before you get to your exercises, it's prompting you to go ahead and save a backup. So let me show you how to do that. You go to File, Create Backup. And when you see this, you want it to be local because we're not doing anything online. And then it just tells us to click Next, and this screen comes up. And it is prompting you to go ahead and click the Browse button. And you're just going to look different depending on what kind of stuff you have on your desktop or my computer. Mine, if you save like mine as far as having a folder on your desktop, it'll look kind of similar to this. So I'm going to click on the QB data file folder because that's where I want to put mine. And then I'm going to click OK. And there you can see that it's desktop QB data files. In your textbook, these are actually not clicked. I am going to leave them clicked. And I'll show you what that does. But looking on down on the screenshot, the only thing I see different is this has like a 1. So that every time you close it, they're going to remind you, do you want to back this file up? And complete verification is something that you should keep checked. When I click OK, it's saying that do you really want this location, because now you're saving the backup where your data file is. So something happens to your computer and you lose, then you're gonna your backup and your data file are going to be in the same place. But I'm going to go ahead and say use this location. If you wanted to, you could put backup files on a jump drive, whatever you wanted to do. They've saved it now. Click next. And now, again, you're going to say, okay, well, what do you want to name it? Since I had left that button clicked where it said, do you want to have the time and date of every time you save it? That is what it did down here. It went ahead and said it's 4:30 p.m. on January the 14th. That's when it backed it up. Next time, it'll update that with a new date. You might want to do this and then you're going to have several backup files, because, the way the textbook has it, this information here wouldn't be there. And if that were the case, you would just be overriding your, the backup file, because it would be called Donna Mallard Chapter 1 Backup every time you backed up. This way, it's going to create a new backup file by actual day and time. So I'm going to let it do it. You would always want to go back and delete those earlier versions. You really don't need it. Just keep the most recent one. And then as you go to Chapter 2, you'll have a Chapter 2, and so on and so forth. And then notice down here, it tells us that it's going to save it as a QBB, which is a backup file, which is what we want. And it's going through and it's doing that verification, and it doesn't really take that long. Again, you'll see just on my computer, don't be alarmed if this is not responding. You're seeing it on my computer, so just know that that's okay. And it did it pretty quick. So now at this point, if I'm saving a backup, I probably would be exiting out of QuickBooks, which is what I'm going to do, because I want to show you what these files look like. Now, if I go to where they are, you will notice that you will have a lot of files here. The backup file, which is, and it even says over here, you see how this says it's a backup file? Well, this is the original backup file that I had on my CD. But when I backed up again, instead of overriding this, I let it go ahead and put the date and time, and that's what this is. And notice that it's, 23 megabyte. The actual working file, which is the QBW file, is what's this QuickBooks company file. It's a little bit larger. Later on, as you add more data, it will be considerably larger than your backup file. Right now, it's just 30 megs. It's not that much larger than your backup file. So that's what it's going to look like. And as you progress in the chapters, again, if you have several of these, but you have one that says backup January 14th, 5:30 p.m. and then at 6:30 p.m., you don't want to keep all those. Just keep the most recent one. So then the next step would actually be to go back into QuickBooks and then do your exercises that are in the back of the book. And I will demonstrate that to you as well.